How Team Greysteel cheated permanent death twice. Hi everyone, All Things D&D is back with another story. Cheating death once, sure, but twice? Tell us your story about cheating death after listening to this one. A few notes about our campaign before I get into this story. Our DM likes to emphasize fun over rules and tends to give us a lot of powerful items and abilities. He also uses what he calls a class-up system instead of multi-classing, essentially letting us play two classes at once. For example, at the time of this story, my character is level 11, with 11 levels of Rogue and 11 levels of Cleric. If you're wondering how this is balanced, it isn't. It pretty much means he gets to throw stronger enemies at us without worrying about overpowering us. We're currently a group of 8 players, plus our DM and co-DM. Voice chat gets a little crazy sometimes. We were ostensibly running Dragon Heist, but I'm pretty sure no one would know that if they saw us play. We're all between level 10 and 12. The DM had set 12 as a cap for the campaign before we move into Dungeon of the Mad Mage. Explaining the hows and whys of our group's abilities would take all day, so just know we have a lot of crazy powers and items by this point, much of it homebrewed. The major players in this story are myself, Zarius, Tiefling Rogue and Chosen of Tamora, Cleric of the Gambler Domain. I didn't contribute much to this fight, but I am the one telling the story. Alton, the Halfling Monk Fighter with a sentient sword Greysteel, whom our group Team Greysteel is named after. Duncan, the Amnesiac Orc Paladin, who has an artificial right arm powered by a Fire Ganassi. Lambert, the Human Fighter and Delivery Boy with a magic satchel that can give him any number of random objects. The other members of our group, important of course, but not as relevant to these specific events. Aefern, a Furbolg Circle of the Shepherd Druid. Daxion, a Changeling Bard and Sword of Warlock. It's complicated. Under the Raven Queen. Zaldan, the absurdly powerful Gnome Wizard of Divination, Necromancy, and Chronomancy and Void Dragon Sorcerer. And our newest member, Fawn Guy Pan, the Myconid Circle of Spores Druid. Whew, I know that was a lot. But now the story. We had met up with Aefern's family in the High Forest, who had told us of an imbalance in the Feywild caused by the absence of a particular djinn. As it happened, we were familiar with this djinn, but when we searched for a bottle, it was nowhere to be found. Someone had stolen it. An impressive feat considering me and the monk had passive perception of 22 and 25 respectively. Zaldan cast Locate Creature and zeroed in on the djinn's location, eventually finding the bottle on a stump in a large clearing. As we approached, a Fire Ganassi named Zan emerged from the bushes. Zan was a 20th level sorcerer and monk. We'd encountered this guy before, but he had summoned several powerful elementals and escaped. This time he taunted us, calling out many of us on the disruptions to order we had caused, either accidentally or otherwise. Then he held up a spell scroll, stolen from a friend we had made a few sessions prior. This scroll was extremely bad news for us. You see, Zaldan had a tendency to drink a lot, and when he gets blackout drunk, he is prone to impossible magical feats. This scroll was one such feat. A 10th level gate spell, modified in such a way that even gods cannot deny it. And Zan used it to summon Orcus, a demon lord and master of the undead, to the material plane. Thankfully, Duncan activated his trap card. Literally, as he used the death card, a magic tarot card to rewind time by 6 seconds, undoing the spell casting. Most of us had at least one such card with different effects. This gave Alton the heads up he needed to rush in and use stunning strikes to knock the scroll away from Zan, and we rolled for initiative. Aefern summoned a water elemental, but Zan's fire was too hot for it, nearly turning it to steam. It even overpowered my own fire resistance. After a few rounds, Zan cast Incendiary Cloud, which I managed to dispel on my next turn. It was a tough battle, and we were taking quite a beating, but it all came to a screeching halt when he hit Lambert with Disintegration. Lambert failed his saving throw. I tried to cast Guidance to help him, but it wasn't enough. I realized too late that I should have used the Wheel of Fortune card, which grants good luck now, at the cost of bad luck later. The death card had been already used and couldn't be used again. None of our efforts to save Lambert from his fate succeeded, and he turned to dust before our very eyes. Zan got away, and we were left bruised, burned, and bereaved. None of us had a high enough level spell to revive someone from total disintegration. Then Alton remembered what we had come for, the djinn. He summoned her and wished for Lambert to be revived, but she said it was beyond her power to do so. I instead asked her to restore his body at least, and she complied. I quickly cast Gentle Repose to hold his body in that state until we could do something, and Duncan tried casting Revivify. It didn't work, and not because of the time limit. See, several sessions ago, Lambert had obtained a certain legendary weapon from his magic satchel, an infamous weapon, which he had somewhat foolishly made a Hexblade pact with in the previous session, the Mournblade. And as we grieved over our fallen friend, there in the grass was that accursed blade. We knew what had happened. Lambert's soul had been devoured. There was only one option left to us. If the Djinn's power wasn't enough, maybe a wish unfettered by a specific being's power could overcome the Mournblade? Duncan used our Ring of 3 Wishes, attempting to resurrect our friend and restore his soul. One of the ring's 3 gems dulled, and a blast of necromantic energy shot through Duncan's body, dealing a lot of damage and dropping his strength score to 3. Lambert didn't move. We were going to try again out of sheer desperation when someone new arrived. Alista, an old colleague of Duncan's, and a warlock of the Raven Queen. Alista had arrived with a lantern, inside of which, she explained, was a copy of Lambert's soul. It would have all his memories and experiences, effectively being the same person. The original was apparently gone and couldn't be recovered, so this was the best we could do. The existential questions this raised are terrifying, but Alista wasn't there with a gift, she was there to trade. The Raven Queen would only allow us to restore Lambert's soul if one of us offered our own to her in exchange. As soon as our HP reached 0, we belonged to the Raven Queen. No saving throws. I considered it, being confident in my luck, but torn between my infernal nature and my altruism. The others offered their souls, proposed counteroffers, or alternative solutions, but in the end Duncan was the one to break the stalemate, grabbing Alista's knife and marking himself to seal the contract. Alista disappeared, and Lambert woke up, confused and understandably angry at the Mournblade. Since their pact was now broken, he was no longer a Hexblade warlock, and he finally decided to get rid of it. Better late than never, I guess. He shoved the blade back into his satchel and told the bag to lock it away for good. We all had a happy reunion with our friend and retired back home, leaving the lamp with Aefern's village to free the Djinn and restore the Feywild. But our rest was short-lived. We returned to Troll Skull Manor. If you're wondering how Troll Skull Manor ended up in the High Forest, it's kind of a long story. The short version is, our staff are crazy as hell and used magic to escape a siege by the Zentarim. As some of us met up with tavern employees and informed them of what had happened, others went upstairs to check on the 3 orphans we had adopted early in our campaign. When they got there, all the lights were off. This was not the first time something like this had happened, and frankly we were pretty tired of the Wizard Manchun rehashing the same shtick over and over. I had thought we had warded the building against such invasions, but maybe lifting it off its foundation had broken the enchantments. The rest of the party soon joined everyone upstairs, where we found not just 1, but 3 different versions of Manchun. For those who don't know, Manchun has a number of clones, and now they were right here in our home. The last one of them was here. He had kidnapped the orphans, but this time we managed to save them, and Duncan used another wish to teleport them to Blackstaff's tower for safekeeping. We were still weakened from our fight with Zan, so the DM had assumed we would retreat and recover. He hadn't planned on us being fed up with Manchun's crap, and so we fought. As best as we could, given the small room anyway. We told the DM to not hold back, give us all he got, shoot to kill. So we traded a few blows, but only a few turns in, things were already going sour. The Manchuns cast a fireball at us, but Alton managed to catch it in Greysteel. He then turned to the rest of us and told us to run. I understood what he was about to do, and figured it would involve a lot of fire, so Fan, being a Myconid, was at risk. I had recently acquired a Cape of the Mountebank, which I had combined with my Cloak of Displacement. I call it the Phantom Thief's Cloak. So I grabbed Fan, smiled at Alton and told him, don't die, then used the Cape's Dimension Door ability to teleport away. Everyone else hurried out of the room, and Lambert used his magic shield to turn into a golden statue to block the door. No one was getting in or out for the next 5 minutes. As it turns out, I was only half right regarding what Alton was planning. You see, this wasn't the first fireball spell he had absorbed. He had actually snagged another way back when we defeated the first Manchun. And thanks to the properties of this ability, it had been growing in strength ever since. He had forgotten about it until recently, but it was now a 9th level spell. Just before everyone escaped the room, Zaldin and Daxion cast a couple of buffs on Alton, with Bardic Inspiration and an extra action. Alton charged in, hitting 2 of the 3 Manchuns with a stunning strike, which meant they would automatically fail a dex save. Alton took a few hits, and managed to avoid getting paralyzed and stunned himself. On his next turn, he popped a magic bean that gave him the benefits of a long rest, then started to cast his fireball spell. But he wasn't just blowing up the room, he concentrated the entire 9th level spell directly onto himself, taking 118 damage but surviving. The DM had made him take double damage, since he wasn't casting it as an AoE. This proved to be a mistake by the DM. Absorbing spells wasn't the only thing Greysteel could do, it could also redirect them. Alton was fully prepared to die a heroic death, and the properties of his ability meant his soul would be destroyed if he died. Since we had barely got 1 party member back after his death, reviving Alton would be impossible. After taking the full force of the fireball, Alton used his boon of recovery to get some health back, then shot the energy back out at double the damage. The attack vaporized 2 of the Manchuns outright, and left the 3rd with only 1 HP. The last Manchun tried to cast Finger of Death on the barely living monk, but somehow he survived, also with 1 HP. The fight was over. Alton cut down the last of the Manchun clones. We had won. Our DM was stunned. The group was amazed. Alton's player apologized for stealing the show, but we told him it was entertaining enough that we didn't mind. The DM admitted that the 3 had been intended to be mid-bosses for the upcoming dungeon, and each of them were level 15. And yet Alton managed to almost solo all 3. As a reward for doing the impossible, everyone got boosted to level 15, and Alton got an epic boon, the boon of magic resistance, with the task of choosing 3 of us to also receive a boon. Fern, Lambert, and I were the lucky ones to receive the gift. I was suddenly glad I hadn't used my Wheel of Fortune tarot card on Lambert after all, as the DM would have without a doubt triggered the bad luck on Alton. The man Shunes also left behind a scrying orb. Zaldan picked it up and examined it, seeing a vision that horrified us. Because we had taken out a powerful enemy the DM was going to use later, he decided to get back at us by raising the stakes. We discovered that much of Waterdeep had been destroyed, reduced to a crater, as a chunk of the Undermountain had risen. Hallister, the Mad Mage himself, had animated his titular dungeon and was now marching toward the High Forest in a giant magical mecha. That is some awesome homebrewing. Making the game your own is the most appealing part of D&D to me. Please let us know what you think and comment below. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel All Things D&D. Our next video will be posted in 3 days, so stay tuned for more amazing Dungeons & Dragons content.